we're gonna stay in labor for a little bit longer. Labor. This is another one from Left Voice. Hey, what do you know? Left Voice killing it this week, knocking it out. So Mike Pappas from Left Voice, who says bosses are not on your team, and they proved it during the pandemic. Again, Captain Obvious type of stuff.
Yep. Obvious.
Can't be stated enough. Yep. But when people are looking for, like, show me an article that shows me some evidence and shows me some numbers and shows me some backing, are they issuing an apology for how they handled it, right? Are they promising to do better? Bosses are trying to save face after they lost workers' trust. Well, when someone shows you their true colors, believe them, right? That's Maya Angelou. No one showed their true colors more than bosses clearly during the pandemic. Again, this is, I think the picture is via The Atlantic. I don't think that this article is via The Atlantic. But, again, Mike Pappas is talking about how he used to work at a New York office who apologized to its staff. It's a progressive workplace. BLM plastered all over the walls. It's really tight, libs boast about nonprofits, but it functions just like a for-profit. Funnels patients in and out, right? And the clinic CEO recently issued a statement of apology for the measures it took, acknowledging mistakes and do things differently, and we will do better as a leadership team. So what's he referencing? So he mentioned them in the email.
But I roll harder at that.
Right? Furloughs and a lack of wage increases and the uneven distribution of remote work opportunities, which some staff argue appeared to be along the lines of race and class. And the implementation, like we talked about, of a point system, okay, turning patient care into points as in a video game. Gamification of work.
Yeah, it's the worst.
Right? Where they got more points based on how many patients they saw. So they literally turn these guys into, like, factories.
Yep. And with you, if you have shitty points, then you're looked down upon. It's literally just ways to judge and discriminate other people's work, right? Pretty much.
So the CEO
for healthcare workers,
it's unbelievable that he's noticed an increase in distrust. What a shock. Okay, but not to worry. Like all CEOs, this one tried to smooth things over and say that the Institute reinforcing how they've tried to make amends by convening more labor management meetings and opening a process to involve voices from across the organization. But it's actually not, posturing. It's platitudes. No such thing as democracy in a system of private, largely for-profit healthcare. There is no such thing as democracy in even nonprofits run by CEOs like any other corporation. Right, so, and they point out and they ask some questions. Have there been any fundamental changes to the institutional structure? No. Are there any material changes, improvements in staffing? Not that we've heard. Do frontline workers have actual control over how the organization is run? Of course not. And did they even receive the hazard pay that they demanded? No. There you go. Instead, what do they get? Platitudes. Is this run by the Democratic Party? Sounds like it.
Probably.
It will come through participating in various committees, right? To voice their opening up more committees for spaces and spaces. It gives the perception that management wants to change, but allows it to control, monitor, and neuter any workplace activism. It really comes down to what one high-ranking staff member of the same institution allegedly told a colleague of mine: my role here is to make people feel heard and then make sure that nothing actually changes. Wow. Devastating. Damn. That quote, that ideology is the ideology of corporate managers in the age of COVID. Well, I think some, but it's not necessarily that nothing actually changes. It's that nothing actually changes that isn't already in the plans or that management isn't on board with as well. because there are sometimes good ideas that come from the rank and file employees and changes that are easy to implement, money saving stuff. Puppo, I see Puppo hanging back there. Just saw him turn his head.
Yep.
All right. As Ed Young highlights in his piece in The Atlantic, about 1 in 5 healthcare workers have left their jobs since the pandemic started. Again, talking about a drain.
Whisper.
And emails like this are coming when they're quitting. But why are they quitting? It's not because they're not getting emails from the boss that are saying we're going to listen to you. It's because they're not actually listening to them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just healthcare, but in this case, they're talking about healthcare. But I think that's happening quite a bit across corporate America, which is why partially why you see a great resignation happening.
Yep.
And there's opportunity out there. There's tons of people hiring. People realized after 2 years being locked away at home, I don't have to do this. There's plenty of other things I can do. There's other things I want to do. And I had a coworker leave to join the military as a chaplain, of all things. Weird, like, okay, like, but that he went to seminary school, and so that's people just they realized that they had epiphanies in life, and this 2 years and showing us, the politicians showing us who they are and how we really are on our own, and how we have to seize every day and try to do everything we can to make it in this time, and working for a crappy boss for crappy pay. If you have any options whatsoever, you're gonna execute that option. You're gonna bail. Again, This was Mike Pappas. He's an activist and a doctor working in New York City. So awesome piece, I have to say. Bosses are not on your team. I think that might be the theme of this show. And maybe we should change it from "how did we miss that" to "bosses are not on your team."
I mean, just fuck bosses. I mean, we could ask, like, instead of, like, it's just who's the boss. That would probably
Can we
work.
add,
I don't think anyone's done that
can
before.
we add bosses to all gens?
Yeah.
So sorry to anybody named Jen. Sorry to any fans of the show named Jen.